Hi, this is Kirk, the bariatric carnivore. Well, okay, you did everything right. You got yourself as healthy as possible, but things happen. You end up going to the emergency room, and then you get the dreaded medical bill. And you're going, oh my gosh, how much are they charging me? And you open it up, and it's some outrageous bill. What do? Well, frankly, there's a lot more that you can do, because the first thing you got to realize, that thing that you got is not a bill. It's a statement. It is basically the beginning of negotiations. And your next phone call needs to be to the person that sent you the statement and ask them for a bill with what they call CPT codes, or Charlie, Papa, Tango. Those are the codes. Those are like the UPCs, universal price codes, that you have on all your products. When you go to the supermarket and you scan an item and it tells you, okay, Diet Coke, 49 cents or whatever the heck the price is on the thing. You know that because, and the computer knows what it is because of that UPC code. Well, the CPT code is exactly the same thing for medicine. And everything that they are charging you for has got to have a CPT code with, and it doesn't list the procedure. It's just got that code on it. Well, how do you know what that code meant? Well, that's pretty darn easy to Google. And if you Google the list of all the different codes, you just put in the number, boom, there's the procedure. Now, what you may find when you look at all the different things they're billing you for, some of the things may not match up. You may have gone to the hospital because they put a sling on your arm. And you look at the CPT code and it's like, wait a second, why did you bill me for labor and delivery? That's an extreme example, but it could happen because they make medical billing errors, and people sometimes put in the wrong code. And when they put in the wrong code, they send you a bill for a lot of extra cost. So getting the bill with those codes is your first step. And then you go through it and you may want to go, gosh, that seems kind of pricey for an aspirin. How much, does the government pay for that? And you can look up how much Medicare is willing to pay for the same code. As long as you've got that code, you can now know how much the government's willing to pay, and you can compare the two prices. That gives you a lot of information and gives you a real good basis of discussion to go talk to the billing office. And when you call the billing office, do not ask, talk to the person that answers the phone, but say, I need to talk to the person who can talk to me about this bill. And we're asking for somebody very specific, not is there a person, but who is the person, and talk to them. And when they find out that you know about the CPT codes and you know how much Medicaid is going to pay for that particular procedure, that gives you a lot of power. And that is suddenly, because frankly, yes, you got to understand this about hospitals. They are not your care providers. They are not looking after you. They are businesses, and they've got something that they're very terrified of, which is the government. See, when your insurance company doesn't pay what they're supposed to do, and you go in there and you do a good faith of action, and you try to figure out, okay, why are you not paying this thing? And you get some answers to those things, and they either deny payment or they acquiesce, because frankly, they know that 90% of Americans will just pay whatever they happen to send as a bill. Most people don't know this stuff. We should know it, but that's the horrific nature of the system. I mean, frankly, this ought to be part of the basic literacy classes that we teach high school students. How to understand medical billing and this basic information. What does it take? 15 minutes to kind of explain the basics to it? And it would save people so much money if they just understood this basic stuff. But they don't, because we don't teach it, because the whole system is absolutely psychopathic, designed against you and your health and your financial health. because the number one cause of bankruptcy in this country is medical debts. And frankly, most of it is because these guys are making mistakes, or they're just being greedy, or the insurance company is just arbitrarily deciding not to pay for stuff. Now, you're not powerless in this. You don't necessarily have to hire an attorney. I mean, you file complaints with the insurance commission in your state or with the hospital board, etc., and they start asking questions about their billing practices. Big hospital, big medicine gets very nervous. Big insurance companies get very nervous. They do not like having government regulators poking around in there. They have very cozy relationships with them, but boy, if you've got a legitimate gripe about them, they get very nervous about that type of stuff. And there's also some really good resources that you might want to be aware of. There's a website called crushmedicaldebt.com. It is run by Dr. Virgie Bright Ellington. And Dr. Ellington is an internist who, used to practice medicine, went to work for big insurance to basically, she was not the person that denied care. She was the one who kept saying, she was the arbiter. Do we cover this or not? And is it a legitimate procedure or not? That was her job. And yes, she saved her insurance company a lot of money, but she has now come over to the other side where she is helping people understand the system. She has a great podcast. She has a great website with lots of really good resources to help you understand how this billing process works. And this was driven home to me last night. A friend of mine, daughter, she's 23 years old, went into the hospital, and she had basically had a kidney infection and was in the hospital for a couple of days. She got a bill for a statement from the hospital for $230,000 for 2 or 3 nights in the hospital for basically a kidney infection. That was just idiocy to me. And she doesn't understand the system. She's completely panicked. She doesn't have a bill yet. She doesn't have like regular insurance, etc. And she is being hit with a ton of debt, probably most of it not legitimate. So she needs to know how to fight this thing through. And that's when it dawned on me. It's like, we need to probably do a video on this too, so that you guys have a basic understanding of what type of resources you have, because you are not alone in this. Yeah, I mean, basically you are. It's you against the world, you against the MBAs, but there's a lot of resources and you have a lot more power than you might think, and a lot of negotiating power if you know the system and you know how to fight back. It is possible. I'm not guaranteeing that, look, sometimes there's legitimate medical debts that are going to pile up and they can be overwhelming, and I get it. But you need to learn how to understand the system, navigate it. Don't just pay off whatever statement you get from the hospital, but instead get the bill, understand it, look for duplicates, understand the different codes, making sure that what they're billing you for is legitimate, and making sure that the cost that they are charging is not extravagant. And when you understand that system, the basics of it, you can probably get the cost down dramatically. And if you go into it with some basic knowledge and you've got numbers on your side and you're kind of reasonable, there's odds are they're going to completely collapse. It is amazing to me how many times I've gone and called them up with legitimate billing questions, and when you call your insurance company and they're trying to deny something, and you say, wait a second, should be covered, and this is the code, this is how much you guys are supposed to be paying on this. You'd be surprised that because you're one of the informed consumers, part of the 10% that are willing to challenge the bill, they might just let it go through pretty darn quickly, because they don't want to run the risk that you're going to be looking for attorneys, calling up government agencies, etc. They want their life to be easy as possible. They kind of wish you were like 90% of everybody else that just kind of rolled over and just paid it and took their word for it because they're the experts. They're not the experts, and they don't have any regard for your health. And frankly, they don't care about you. They care about their bottom line. That is their job. So try to keep you in the dark, treat you like a mushroom. They want to keep you in the dark, feed you full of crap. That's what they do. Don't fall for it. It's relatively easy, it's relatively simple to understand this thing, but it's not free. It takes some time. But, you know, in this fight for our health and our financial health, we're all alone in this. But we can all be alone in this together. So utilize the resources that you've got. Understand hospitals are not your friends. They're not your doctors. They are owned primarily by private equity groups, big insurance, and big pharma. I mean, there's a bunch of people that are investing a lot of money trying to own these things, and it's not run by doctors anymore. It is a psychopathic system that is not working for your health and does not care about your financial health and doesn't care about the community or anything else. All they care about is making money and keeping the government off their backs and trying not to be sued. That's all they care about. And their biggest enemy, the thing that they fear the most, are informed consumers that know the system and are willing to fight back. So don't be like 90% of everybody. You don't have to do that. This is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. I try to put out a couple messages each week dealing with health, trying to help get you out of the system as best you can to basically, you know, not only just make you healthy, but also protect your financial health and help you understand the system and just how utterly psychopathic and wrong it absolutely is. You know, it's not going to get fixed, but there's a grassroots movement that can fight back. If you have resources that you have found that is very useful to help other people understand the medical billing system, etc., please leave them in the comments below so that when other people find this video, they can look down below and find resources that can help them. If you've seen the idiocy and the horrific nature of our medical billing system, please leave comments below. Again, this is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. I try to put out a couple messages each week. I will talk to you again soon.